Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to the chat on Niger Watch. How are you doing? My name is Ima. How are you doing? Welcome to the chat. You're just joining and work. Of course, you are just joining. So, welcome to the broadcast. Please do also like this broadcast. You know this is going to be a good one, so just start liking the broadcast already. Please like the broadcast, share, and invite someone onto the broadcast. Yes, this is one of those broadcasts that you invite someone to. Yeah, because there's gonna be a whole lot of learning to do. Yes, yes. So please take out time to invite someone. And also on the comment section, the link has been posted. If you'd like to join the conversation, please do also click on the link and you'll be right in the studio with me. Welcome and thank you for being here. Thank you to those on the comment section. SBDT, hello to you too. Thank you for keeping the time, Mr. SBD. Mommy Diaspora, thank you and welcome to the broadcast. Welcome to each and every one of you. Please do also like this broadcast, do also share and invite someone onto the broadcast. And also, let's not forget the new feature that we have on our channel, the super text. The super text is for those watching the replay of our broadcast. You now have an opportunity. You now have an opportunity to support us by clicking on the text or the super text just right beneath the video, just as it says where it's a second. Yes, you click on that, and that's an opportunity for you to support us. So please, let's get familiar with this feature. Please, let's engage it as well. Thank you so very much for being here. Thank you very much for anticipating. Welcome to the broadcast. Please do also click on the link to join the broadcast. And if you are yet to subscribe to our YouTube channel, please take out time to do so today. Please, thank you very much. All right, we'll begin in about a minute. All right, Mr. Insubidi, how you doing? Good afternoon to you, sir.
Yes, good afternoon, Mrs. Ima. Thank you so much for having me. I've been looking forward to this program.
All
Yeah.
right, thank you for being here. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for doing this. Okay, so I don't know where to begin to ask you, but I'm sure I might not have all the right questions to ask you. So if I don't get anything, if I'm missing out on something, please do well to go ahead to talk to us about it. And to those on the comment section, to those watching, if you have a question as the broadcast progresses, please do well to say something on the comment section. You know that I see the comments on here, so please drop your questions, drop your submissions on the comment section, and it will be attended to. Thank you very much, and do well to like this broadcast. Please do also like this broadcast, share, and invite someone onto this broadcast as we progress. Hi, man of prestige. How are you doing? It's been a long time. How have you been? Yes, go ahead, man of prestige. How are you doing? How have you been? Okay, we'll move on then. Welcome to the broadcast, man of prestige. Mary Kimade, thank you for being here and welcome to the broadcast. All right, Mr. Nsibide. Okay, so let's begin. So let's
Yeah,
talk about first of all, what is mental health?
yeah. Mental health is maybe I won't give you like the full definition, but everyone from just the term mental health, we are talking about the health of our of how we reason, how we process things as human beings, and how to live uh, a much more productive, safe, and healthy life, as regards the way we reason, because everything that we do, everything that we say, and everything that we perceive is being processed from our brain. So it's very important that we take care of our mental health. And I think that's basically how to make it understandable for everyone, because everything that we do comes straight from our brain down to the action now. So
Okay.
yeah,
So the productivity of a human is centered around, their mental health. That's it in a nutshell.
exactly, exactly. You put it so perfectly.
Okay. Oh, so kudos to me then.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. What then is mental illness?
Well, mental illness is, mental illness is just like, how do I put it? I'm trying to put it in a way that it's kind of relatable for for people that might not know so much about it. But I think mental illness is more like the same way you feel ill in other parts of your body. So mental illness is something that is actually the most important, is actually the most critical and the most dangerous form of illness, because we've seen a lot of people who they've not been diagnosed for any terminal issue, maybe as regards maybe cancer or whatever, all this terminal illness, even HIV or whatever, but just because of as just something that you regard that another person will regard as a small mental case, then they are gone. So mental health, mental illness is actually the most, in my opinion, the most critical and the most dangerous form of illness for people, and everyone needs to really take care of it. But it's also very wide. It's a wide topic because when you just say mental illness, a lot of people feel like uh, um, you're generalizing the whole thing. Sometimes because of the environment and how the perception that some of us have had growing up, we just feel like, oh, you're trying to say we are crazy or we are acting weird, or but they don't understand that even just repeatedly, for you to just continuously try to make everything a certain way, and if anyone does not do it in that particular way, you get really upset. That is also a mental issue or a concern that should be addressed. So mental illness is wide, and maybe as the conversation continues, we'll definitely expand more on it. Unless if you want me to dive into it right now.
No, not right away, because I want us to take this one step at a time so
Okay.
so we can, follow through. What are I was going to ask, what are the mental illnesses that we have out there? Like you said, it's just a compound name or a compound term, as there are individual or specific I wouldn't should I can say illnesses, right? Around it. So what are they?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Oh yeah, they are definitely okay. Let's say in a more kind of a general term, I think they are basically like 12 um, scenarios that people really need to be aware, need to be aware about. It's deeper than the 12, but on a surface level, we have like, for example, this the normal. It's not normal. It's not normal, but just because of people are so much used to that word, we have depression. They have the anxiety disorders. You have the bipolar disorder. We have the paranoia, psychosis, schizophrenia, um, um, OCD. Uh, all this it's called dissociative disorder. You know, obsessive. Oh, yeah, that's the same as OCD. Even eating disorder is part of a mental issue that needs to be looked into. Eating disorder, a lot of people don't even know that. So those are basically on a more surface level. Then when you start going deep into it, then you can now break it down and find the one that is kind of a bit relatable to that person. Yeah.
Okay, but what is the trigger?
Well, uh, most of these things, to be honest, comes from what people refer to as post-traumatic stress disorders, right? Because a lot of these things come from your environment and how someone is raised. the kind of things they witnessed. A lot of children are really, right now, it's just quite unfortunate that our society um, is not, have not been looking too deep into that, but a lot of children are going through that formative process where they begin to develop those mental issues.
So
And
even as adults, one has had to carry this through from their childhood down all up to adulthood.
exactly. Like a lot of people, you find out that they fully uh, get into that circle, or they are fully now kind of uh, they can just feel like they have those problems probably in their late teenage years and early 20s. That's when you find out some people now feel like that's when that diagnosis, because then they're now like more informed to be able to probably go for an evaluation or to see a therapist or a psychiatrist, or even some people do self-evaluation and self diagnosis, which is not advisable. But because of information is out there, some people feel like, okay, they are hearing about people talking about these things, and before you know, they start going probably to maybe the internet, or they start asking people. Then from there, they begin to understand that, okay, this might be what is wrong with me and all that. But it's usually much very important to talk to a professional, or to a therapist or a counselor, someone that can properly, because sometimes people they organize themselves, you know. Whatever they are thinking might be the problem, might not be, it might be related, but that might not be the exact issue that they're having. Hello?
Okay, you said something about environment having a strong play, in mental illness. What are those things that has become a norm in our society that shouldn't be a norm, that brews this mental illness? The other time we're talking about this just on the surface, somebody said that Nigerians don't have mental illness, that this is just who we are, that mental illness is not related to Nigerians, and so there's some things that has become a norm for us, but it shouldn't be. So what are those things, if you can point them out?
There's what they call, I think, mentality for functionality. But you see, now that mentality for functioning is not always negative, because it's just it has to do with your environment, how you adapt, and how you're able to um, survive and thrive in a certain environment. But there's also mental conditions or illnesses that are negative for people. Definitely, they are negative. If it's illness, it's negative. So uh, people should not mix it up, because when you say Nigerians have just adapted, it's good to understand, or it's good to ask, what have you adapted to? You cannot just say you've adapted to something, but you're not, and definitely that thing, if it's properly assessed and if it's properly reviewed, it will be, it's clear that it's harmful to you as a person. So, for Nigerians, I feel like there's just a lot. But when we're talking about the environment, like the question you asked earlier, how does the environment affect the child or the person growing up? Because whether we like it or not, all the people that are currently going through these mental health issues, it did not just start from the previous day. It has been building over time. Over time. Like if we are to look at it from the place of, let's say, for example, let me just use an example of maybe domestic violence, because there's also a lot of mental health attached to that. It's the kind of things that those people feel like they are used to seeing, and how they feel like they can respond to situations. For example, if a partner um, probably acts aggressive towards his other partner, maybe by maybe verbally or by hitting that person, the way the other person reacts is based on the environment, how she has seen or he are seeing other people react. So they feel like, okay, that is how they can handle that. But if they are to do it correctly, they wouldn't even react that way. So a lot of the things is based on environment. Then also uh, for young or teenagers, you find out that the kind of conversation that they have, these things that we've normalized. We see the way, like, for example, I remember growing up in Lagos or in Nigeria, you find out that a lot of people will be like, the way we usually play around with ourselves, you find children insulting themselves. They say it's called wordings. People will start, throwing insults at each other and all those things. A lot of people overgrow it and does not regard it as anything. But for some other people, it kind of affects the way they now respond or process abuse in their life. You understand? So it's deep. There are just different ways to look at it. But yeah, let's just keep going.
All right, thank you for that. To my panelists, hi, how you doing? Thank you and welcome to the broadcast. Mr. Chubuzo, how are you today?
Hello, how are you?
Oh, well, thank you. I wanted to know if you have a question or you have something to
Yeah,
contribute to the
yeah,
conversation. So,
yeah. Thank you, Emma. Thank you once again. What happened is, the guy was analyzing about mental issues and stuff. One thing with mental is, mental is just directly to somebody who doesn't behave normally. And when somebody behave abnormally, no matter how you grade it, downgrade it, or try to analyze it, when somebody does not behave the way he's supposed to behave, that will make somebody, you know, disarray from his behavior. So it doesn't matter whether you name it all kind of fashion name, but what happens is when somebody doesn't behave properly, when you look at this person does not behave properly, now that is when you can see that this person is not well done. He's not
so
behaving properly.
what's your definition of properly in this case?
Yeah. Okay. Let me refer you back again. Just like what is happening in Nigeria today, you can see that the leadership of Nigeria, all of them are mental because of they are not doing things the way it's supposed to be done. They are doing it like somebody who does not understand the function of life, function of things. And when you don't understand those things, make you now become mental. Mental is not it does not mean somebody who is crazy, pulling the shirt out, along the street. That's another part of mental. There's another type of mental that we all have. That when we don't behave the way we're supposed to behave, that means we are not correct. And you can see that this person is not correct, and that is it. There's no way to qualify it down to say this person does not behave properly the way it's supposed to be, and that is the cause of that is how the mental, how we said this is how I will narrate it, and that is how the mental been everybody who doesn't do things properly. That's how I will narrate it and say this person is mental. Is mental. Is upset. Is completely out of order.
All right, Mr. Chubuzo, thank you very much for that. Mr. Nsibidi, I hope you are taking notes of these submissions because
Yeah,
you'll be needing
yeah.
to play here on. I want the next panelist to also give his submission.
Okay,
So you
okay.
yes, you let Nigerians know what mental health is and what mental illness is and what mental illness is not in the course of the broadcast. A big thank you to Mr. Mark Irabo. Thank you so very much for your donation. God bless you. Thank you very much, sir. Please, ladies and gentlemen, do well to support us by clicking on the dollar sign to the right on the comment section. Please, your donation goes a long way in supporting our broadcast. Thank you so very much and welcome to this broadcast. Please take out just a second to like this broadcast, share and invite someone. Thank you. Mr. Pansat, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Emma, how are you?
Oh, I'm well. Thank you. It's a new week. Happy New Week.
Same to you and fellow panelists in CBD and Chibozo. Well, this topic right here requires the input of professionals, doctors, people who lay a foundation. But I could touch on it peripherally since I'm not qualified to talk about what we consider to be mental illness. But mental health issues, not even in advanced countries have they come to recognize that it's not your usual stigma thing like the last speaker touched upon. It's not like Onyara or something. I don't know if you understand that Igbo language right there. So mental health, I would say that at least 90 percentile of us, especially in Nigeria, will get the issues because clinically it's going to be diagnosed with confusion, depression, withdrawal, feelings of excitement, fear, or grief, that kind of thing. It's not craziness. That will be a more severe something. You go from that to mental illness itself. But the health of our people, there's no way on earth with what Nigerians are subject to that they don't have mental health issues. I'm talking about 90 percentile. But thank God that I don't know about people of today. In my own generation, we're not like Oyibo, where when they have one little thing, they start making a big deal out of it, But that attitude that I have, and a lot of people in my generation, we have that kind of, attitude. Maybe you go to the farm and a bee bites you. In America, you have to go to the doctor. You know what I'm saying? We didn't have that when we were growing up in Nigeria. And, the chin, the man. But no, with what we're going through in Nigeria, there's no power. You have floods, menacing, killing so many people, destroying their lifestyle and their businesses. There's no protection for as far as security. You're constantly afraid. If you have any sense, you're exposed to everything, both natural elements and artificial, government, criminals. So, of course, today, Nigerians have also learned substance abuse, which is part of things that affect your health mentally, And let me see. Well, I just can't go too deep on this one because I'm not qualified. But those who want to take a look at maybe online or read about it in books, like symptoms, causes, diagnosis, and then treatment for this kind of thing. And also, I would recommend talking to specialists. This is a big topic. It's a very important topic, even in advanced countries. It's a very, very important area, especially for our people, for what we're going through. So, in order to ameliorate it, I will put a little politics here by saying that we should take better steps this election. Try to elect good people into offices. It really makes a big difference for policies that would be able to help people at least survive the rigors of life, the vicissitudes of life itself. Try to impose mental health issues on human beings, as well as philosophy, things you could learn from churches. No, people don't go to church anymore. You go to church, there are some messages you receive that will give you hope and how to enjoy life. You don't have to be rich to enjoy life. But today, you look at social media or Twitter or YouTube, and you just see people with a lot of money and you don't have any, and your family is just in penury. So that I'll say 90-something percent. I conclude with that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fanside. Good to have you on the broadcast. Thank you for coming in. And this comment from Some Sky, how you doing? Good to have you on the broadcast. Says mental illness occurs when the brain, just like any other organ, such as the heart or the kidney, is not working the way it should. All right. And this is from Mark Kirabo says mental illnesses are health conditions involving changes in emotion, thinking, or behavior, or a combination of this. Mental illnesses are associated with distress and or problems functioning in social work or family activities. All right, thank you very much. We'll come back to you, Mr. NCBD. Please clarify us on, what people think mental illness is and what mental illness truly is.
Yeah, thank you. Um, I think the thing is, the internet is a place whereby you can find all manner of information nowadays. And to be honest with you, they are not really wrong information, but sometimes the danger of maybe self-diagnosing your diagnostics is when you try, because in medicine and in psychology, conditions are very similar, and at the same time they are applied differently, or they are similar but not the same. So sometimes you find people, someone might just go and read and do a lot of research and feel like, oh, I think what this person have is even a bipolar disorder. But if that person goes to a health professional and have extensive kind of evaluation conversation and all that, that person might find out that okay, it has not even gotten to bipolar. Probably what that person is having for now is is panic attacks and panic disorders or anxiety. So that's why sometimes, as much as researching online and doing all those things is good for you to have a knowledge or a scope of how these things, then you can now use it like you now have options, or you now have like an idea of what might be going on. Then don't just stop there. Take that knowledge that you have and go and see a professional so that you can get exactly what is wrong with that person. So well, I think everyone have the definition of mental health that people have put through is correct. It has everything to do with the brain is just an organ like other organs in your body, and a change in behavior when you definitely feel when something is wrong. Even most of the people that starts behaving somehow, they know when it started, but they never felt it like it would disrupt their life. And that's the danger of not treating mental illness. A lot of people feel like, okay, I know I'm not, they will just summarize everything
I
and
was
just
going
make it.
I was going to ask, what are the dangers of mental illness, but please don't get right into that just yet. But now, talking about before we get to the dangers, what are those early signs to look out for?
Well, okay. I think the most important is you have to also look out for. I think the thing is, most people don't know that they are mentally challenged until they probably have been diagnosed, or probably they are really going through a lot. The thing is that you have to look out more for triggers and also understand the root causes of a lot of these things. For example, if somebody is if somebody is like this expectation, I had Pansad, I think it was Pansad that mentioned a lot of these things people see online can influence their mood, their happiness. Not just online, both expectation from people, just the society at large. If you don't properly understand where you're going in life, I remember we were told that having a purpose for your life is actually the first step of having a very sound mental health. Having a purpose for your life, people, that's what maybe some people will not want to say because it looks a little bit kind of theoretical or maybe religious. But having a purpose for your life is very important because it will kind of shield you from a lot of opinions and from a lot of influence, because you cannot as a person allow yourself to be influenced by everything in life. So number one, have a direction, have a purpose for your life, then it will be easier to have a happy life. So, well, the signs to look out for depending on what you're dealing with. So, if you're the kind of person that kind of rely on people to validate you, there's a very high chance that that person will suffer some very serious mental health. In terms of validating, I'm not talking of the normal, the basic things that people are supposed to do. If you are a boss, obviously you expect that the people you're paying will carry out their duty. That's not part of what I mean, because you're paying them. But if it's the kind of person that is just relying on people to kind of maybe by calling them or appreciating them or taking them out and all that. I'm also not talking about relationships, because that's also a subject on its own. It has the way it works on its own. I'm just talking about generally, whether with friends, neighbors, anybody. It's usually very important that you do not put yourself in that situation whereby people can determine how happy or how sad you are. If that's how the mental health of a person starts being threatened. Yes, so maybe that's for now. Let me stop there.
Okay, all right. Please keep your questions coming in. If you have a question, please just go drop a comment on the comment section, and it will be tended to. Thank you, Vincent. Thank you, Vincent, for being on this broadcast. Dorothy Oche, thank you for being on this broadcast and welcome. Thank you to each and every one of you. Of course, I am still very much in the business of familiarizing you with our new features on our YouTube channel, the Super Thanks. The Super Thanks is for those watching the replay of our broadcast. Yes, you're not left out anymore. You now have the opportunity to support us by clicking on the Super Thanks feature. I assure you it is as safe and as secured. So please do want to support us from time to time with your donation. It goes a long way to run this broadcast and this channel. So please do well. If you are moved by our job here, please take our time to encourage and support us by clicking on the dollar sign, by clicking on the super text. Thank you very much. All right, coming back to my panelist, Mr. Chubuzo. Mr. Chubuzo?
Yeah, I can hear you.
So one time we had a publication that reads that okay, that was on the World Health Mental Awareness Day. The publication reads that over 50 million Nigerians are suffering from mental illness. Now, some go on to say that our environment, or when I say environment, I mean everything that is happening in Nigeria, even the environment. I mean, from the moment you step out of your house to the affairs of the country, some has contributed this to to the spike in the rate
Yeah.
of mental illness in Nigeria. Do you agree to this submission? And how best do you think that Nigerians can look out for themselves, or watch out for themselves?
Yeah, Ima. What happened is, I just told you that the system is mental, so the people must also be mental themselves. I don't believe in what organization what they are saying. The only thing is our environment. Our sanitation, environmental sanitation is so bad, and things are not working properly. And a system where the system is mad, then the people also will follow, and they will be mad also. But those mad have categories. It does not mean that when we mention madness, then we everybody is naked walking on the street. You have all kind of patterns that madness fall into, such like things are not well done in Nigeria. That is part of madness. Somebody who is telling you that I will fix Nigeria, then when he comes to power, he will not fix Nigeria. Those are part of madness because his brain is not working when he was conversing for all these things. So the madness now combined with environmental, combined with the way things are being run and done in the system. So those things affect our human capability to drive. So then there is ordinary madness, which everybody, there's no country, there's no madman. Both America we're talking about. But the problem with this advanced country is they don't keep mad people the way we keep mad people. They isolate them. Immediately they find you that you are a mad person, they isolate you, they pick you up and they keep you in a rehabilitation center or just keep you out of the street. That's the difference with the we down there in Nigeria. Or the way in a way that when our own madness, we keep them on the street to show the world that we are mad. Unlike the rest of the world, they don't do that. So the system of Nigeria is mad, so bad that people also will follow suit. So what the World Organization, what the way they find their findings, I don't know how they categorize it, but I believe that people in Nigeria is well behaved. When you put them in a right direction, they will behave well. But when you put them in a wrong direction, they will behave completely wrong. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for that. Then we have this question by Mommy Diaspora asking, "What are the symptoms or signs to look out for?" All right, I'll take this read. While every mental illness is different, well, according to even Mr. NCBD said that not too long ago. There are, I'll just give out 7 common signs to look out for. Change in feelings, loss of interest, change in sleeping habits, low energy, difficulty interacting, appetite or weight changes, uncontrollable emotions. These are some of the things to look out for. And yeah, these are some of the things to look out for: excessive worrying or fear, feeling excessively sad or low, confused thinking or problems concentrating and learning, extreme mood change, including uncontrollable highs or feelings of euphoria. Okay, these are some of the things to look out for. Move on to Mr. Pansat. Mr.
Oh
Pansat.
yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah. So, like I said earlier, I'm not a medical doctor, but those symptoms you mentioned, including feeling sad or down, confused thinking or reduced ability to concentrate, excessive fears or worries, extreme mood changes, like you mentioned also, withdrawal from friends and activities, fatigue, like significant tiredness, low energy, detachment from reality, like delusions, paranoia, hallucinations, things like that, inability to cope with daily problems, stress, trouble understanding and relating to situations, problems with alcohol or drug use, and of course the big one, sex drive changes, excessive anger, hostility and violence, suicidal thinking even. It's a serious thing. But let me also say that to me it's like a first world problem, really, because like I said earlier, with the situations, with the problems we have in Nigeria, almost everybody has to have some kind of mental health issue. In America, for example, where I am, I know that things like slow internet or access to a good mobile phone can cause them to have mental issues, if their remote is not working, for example. So it depends on what world you live in. Here in the United States, it's a first world. So there was that's a term coined from a book by G.K. Payne in his work with built environment. He coined the term first world problems. Because even here, this issue it's a very important issue, but a lot of people don't even talk about that. So, but in Nigeria's case, imagine a country where you don't have there's ethnicity problems for one thing, tribalism, economic crisis. You know, that's enough to cause mental health issues. You know, that's inequality in that country, constant land conflicts, corruption on a daily basis, terrorism, unemployment. You know, the educational system with the ASU thing going on, you have so many kids out of school. Even for their parents, not to talk about the endemic infrastructure issues, lack of skilled personnel. A lot of our doctors have gone overseas. You really don't have qualified people enough to take care of the place, you know? So, especially in these days, with the economy the way it is, there is no way a lot of people are not affected by mental issues, because poverty and those type of things would manifest themselves in those symptoms that we're talking about. You gotta feel sad if you don't have money, you don't know what you're gonna eat tomorrow, and if you don't know how to take care of your kids, you're gonna be confused. You're gonna be afraid because of terrorism. So if you go through all those symptoms, the ones you enumerated and the ones that are elucidated, you know, it will affect including your sex drive. So that's what I'm saying. It's a first world problem. It's condescending and silly as that sounds. Clinically, if you already Nigerians, we have type A personality, you know. So, which means we're achievement oriented, we're competitive, we're fast paced, and we're impatient. So, you don't have power, you don't have electricity. So, I again go back to one of the first steps is to get the country right. Let's start over in January and February. Elect good politicians into office who would be able to provide medical, concerns. People can come back. There's a lot of Nigerians who rather be practicing their thing back home, have clinics, come home on vacations a couple of weeks and take care of people in their villages. If there's security, you have to elect good politicians who are going to go in there at the beginning of the year. Everybody, it seems to me, has some kind of epiphany right now. So to tackle this particular issue, it's a very important issue, but it's tied into the society that you have, because so many things trigger mental health concerns. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay, so Mr. Bansat said that it's pertaining to countries. Mental illness differs from country to country. So how we go about it, even in treating it, is different. So this begs the question, and this is for you, Mr. Nsibide. One, is this submission? Do you buy into the submission that it varies from country to country?
Not exactly, to be honest. But I think I understand.
It's mental illness.
Yes. I don't see it that way. Because in every nation, our situations are different, obviously, in many ways. But at the same time, the process of falling into mental illness is the same everywhere. There are people that they are not struggling with electricity and insecurity of traveling, but at the same time, you cannot. If you even do the data, if you check the data, you'll be shocked. You cannot compare um, the number of people having or people that are probably taking their own lives in these first world countries compared to our country. So we cannot even go there. But I think what I wanted to add is, you know, as even especially as a child growing, once your it's called the nucleus accumbens. Once that part of the brain that is responsible for the pleasure and reward and self-assurance system is altered, it can really mess up the way that child sees themselves later in life, especially now in their teenage, late teens, early 20s, and going up. So the thing is, it's very important to protect that part of a child. And sometimes some of these damages are even done from school system, and even from, not even if it's not in the school, it can even be from just their friend and environment, from their home, which is for example, the example of a school system is maybe which we are still suffering a lot of it in this part of the world where we are from, is the way they kind of you remember when they will write they'll say clap for this person have got 10 over 10 or something like that. Then this other child that got is it 5 over 10, they will sing one song for that child. Olodo Rabata, Ojo Eja Lo Moje. You know, all those type of
Yeah.
you
So that
understand?
leads to stigma. Yes. Okay, so
Yeah,
now you're talking because I want this to be relatable even down to the house. So that is to say that most of these problems or most of the character that we see, our loved ones exhibit and we think they are spiritual problems, this can be
yeah.
traced and tied to mental illnesses.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's not people don't see it that way, but it's that's why sometimes it's also important to speak to a little bit of maybe people that have probably done a course or done one or two things in these areas, so that um they can now give you like a proper insight. Because there's that part of the brain, it's called the nucleus accumbens. It's responsible for the reward, pleasure, self-assurance, all those things in the brain. Then when it's being compromised, people, that's why you find those younger people, when they start growing up, they start taking to alcohol, um, smoking, all manner of things. So I'm not talking about people that got influence from peer pressure. I'm talking about the people that just felt like, you've had a lot of people saying that they take such and such to calm down, to relax, to sleep, to do all that. Those are the people I'm talking about. So, and most of it happens to, it starts from when they are children. For example, like I said, in school, there's this research that was done sometime in the US, like something about the most of the children that I think you should go and look for this lady. She's called either Nadine. Her name is Nadine Burke. Nadine Burke. Burke. I think that's her second name.
All
She
right.
has done quite an extensive research into how it affects children and how they grow up and all that. So she did the research and she found out that those children that were given A's and they were really celebrated for having A's, it's very hard for them. Their challenge, it doesn't mean they didn't face other challenges in life, but it was very hard for them to go into substance abuse and all that because of that assurance and that part of their brain that was constantly stimulated. Then the other children which did not get those kind of those kind of scores, some of them had those issues, And that does not mean that those children are not intelligent. And that's where some of us are failing in Africa or in Nigeria. Because when you take two children to school and you find out that this other one, mathematics comes naturally to this one can just wake up and you give him, you will solve the square root and everything. And you find out that the other child is not like that, but the other child can present. That child can just say something or can just, is very good with speaking. You understand? So you should not try to make the other child become perfect like the other one. So you should be able to understand their strengths and appreciate them equally, even if it's differently. You understand? So that's where some of these things come into place. And before you know, some children, they don't, like in America, why do you think that they go and start getting the best basketball players or football players, American football, from the schools? Because they understand that that's the strength of some of those kids. And they don't try to force a particular standard on them. They try to find their strength. And I think that's what we should be doing more.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. NCBD. Mr. Passat, now will be a good time for your submission.
All right, thank you very much. And hello, the progressive, I think just joined us. So let me be brief so we could get his input. But Mr. NCBD, I was trying to initially ascertain if we're talking about mental health, period, or mental health illness, like Onyara, like I said before, that's carrying bottles to break somebody's head and all that. But the causes of the more severe thing that has been diagnosed as mental illness. Okay, there are so many things that cause those kind of things, including inherited traits, environmental exposures, like we talked about before, and of course the brain chemistry we're talking about. Just
Mr.
right now.
Passat,
Yes.
you insinuated that mental illness is hereditary.
Yeah, there are some that originate
Okay.
from that. Yeah.
Okay, please
It's
go
something
on.
that that you could inherit some of it. But I don't understand. I think in CBD was reluctant to buy wholesale that the first world and third world countries have totally different situations in this, both in the causality and of course diagnosing it. You have to have a medical doctor to diagnose it. Even the last submission he made, that kind of, who's gonna give a kid, have scouts go picking out people with certain talents? That's a first world thing. The issue is there should be a demarcation between having good mental health, or if you already have the mental, if you're diagnosed to have mental illness, even at that, the way Nigerians treat crazy people or people who are mentally ill are totally different. So if we're talking about the risk factors, like as we said earlier, like a history of mental illness, if it's in your blood relative or whatever, that interdiction has to also be done by somebody who cares. They have to have clinics, hospitals, professionals who are able to diagnose that or tell you that you're in the risk category because you have somebody who's mentally crazy. The stressful life situations, financial problems, things like that. So there are so many things: brain damage, traumatic experience. Now, this is for somebody who is mentally sick, mentally ill. Alcohol, like I said earlier, your childhood, for example, abuse. In some of our cultures, even in the North, you have children being married by adults, they're being abused. Okay, that will cause and trigger mental illness as well. So culture has a lot to do with that. And So I wanted in CBD to, because that's why I was saying, if you're gonna discuss mental health, it's a first world problem, because even in Nigeria, the things you need to know to prevent it, it's not even considered. In the United States, where I am, I can't speak for the rest of the developed world. It's a new thing actually in the last decade, when they've been putting emphasis on this, as far as to interdict, prevent. If we're talking about prevention, that's what I'm talking about. I'm not a doctor, so I'm just using common sense. So it's not the same thing that trigger mental problems in Nigeria that would do it here in the United States. Over here, kids could carry automatic rifles and go into the schools and shoot off people. That's a moment of illness for very trivial things that doesn't mean anything. And yeah, all right. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Mr. Fansad. I think I know where you're going to. The Progressives NG, good day to you. Good to have you on the broadcast. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm good, Emma. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Welcome. Please take it away with your submission.
Oh, thank you very much. I think this is a very interesting topic today, and one which I kind of take interest into. And from my own side of it, right? I think mental illness or mental health, for me, it does not. It is there's no peculiarity as to where you live or where you come from. The triggers are also not particular to or familiar have any form of familiarity to where you live or where you come from. So I think the only difference is that in the Western world they have the facilities in place to diagnose it and to kind of understand what the individual is going through, whereas in the third world those facilities are not on ground. That is the difference. There are a lot of people in third world that are going through mental illness or that are suffering from mental health issues that people just take it for granted because they don't really understand what that person is going through. So, but in Western world, they can easily tell that, okay, you know what, let's go and see a therapist. Okay, let's go and see a GP. Then the diagnosis will then follow. But on the other hand, a mental health sickness is a mental health sickness, regardless whether you're in Nigeria or you're in the United Kingdom or you're in the United States. It doesn't matter whether you are a wealthy person or you are a poor person. It is not related to how much resources that you have. It does not have anything to do with how poor you are. There are a lot of poor people that don't suffer from mental health illness, and there are a lot of wealthy people that do suffer from mental health illness. So we cannot just tie it to resources. I think it's just based on individual, how you are able to handle issues. A lot of people suffer from panic attack. Okay, but when people suffer from panic attack, they don't really see it as mental health issues, but it is a mental health issues. And people just see it as something that they go through as part of their daily living. But panic attack has been diagnosed as a mental health problem. So there are a lot of celebrities that are suffering from mental health issues. It doesn't have to do with resources. It doesn't have to do with financial issues. It's just something that society in general need to understand and try to create support system for people that are undergoing mental health problem.
All right. The Progressives, I seem to have lost you. If anyone can hear him, please let me know.
No. I finished. That's what I just thought. Sorry about that. I should have told you that I'm done.
Okay, no problem. Thank you. Thank you for your submission. All right. Thank you to each and every one of you on here. Thank you for being here. Please do well to like this broadcast, share, and invite someone onto the broadcast, and do well to support us by clicking on the dollar sign to the right on the comment section. Please, thank you very much. Okay, I'll read out something. Please pay attention to this piece. I'll try to summarize it. Uh, okay, so a mental illness can make you miserable and can cause problems in your daily life, such as that school or work or in relationships. In most cases, symptoms can be managed with a combination of medications and talk therapy. Signs and symptoms of mental illnesses or illness can vary depending on the disorder, circumstances, and other factors. Mental illness symptoms can affect emotions, thoughts, and behaviors. Examples of signs and symptoms include, please, I need you to really pay attention and check yourself, right? This, you're not supposed to give a report to anybody, but check yourself, and in all honesty, score yourself and do the needful after this broadcast, please. This is something you'll be doing for your own self, please. Okay, the first on the list is feeling sad or down, confused thinking or reduced ability to concentrate, excessive fears or worries or extreme feelings of guilt, extreme mood changes of highs and lows, withdrawal from friends and activities, significant tiredness, low energy or problems sleeping, detachment from reality, paranoia or hallucinations, inability to cope with daily problems or stress, trouble understanding and relating to situations and to people, trouble understanding and relating to situations and to people, problems with alcohol or drug use, major changes in eating habits, sex drive changes, excessive anger, hostility or violence, and there's suicidal thinking. Please, if ever you notice that you are beginning to do this more frequently, it's happening more often than usual, then please, there are some that is outright giveaway, but the other ones that have to do with, I think, the drinking, the withdrawal from friends. If you notice that these are things you are beginning to do, it's almost becoming enough, then please take out time to do the needful. You have the option of going to see a doctor. I have here, if you have any signs or symptoms of a mental illness, see your primary care provider or a mental health professional. Most mental illnesses don't improve on their own, and if untreated, a mental illness may get worse over time and cause serious problems. And now, of course, there's, as I said earlier, there's some symptoms out here, like the suicidal thoughts. That one is outright. You just call for emergency. And now, these are questions that people have been asking. What are the causes? How, when you know the causes, I'm sure you will do all it takes to avoid this. The causes of mental illnesses in general are thought to be caused by a variety of genetic and environmental factors. Genetic and environmental factors. Now, these are the two causes that are outlined here. And reading this, I'm just here like, oh my dear country, Nigeria and Nigerians. Well, we have the first one, inherited traits. Mental illness is more common in people whose blood relatives also have a mental illness. Certain genes may increase your risk of developing a mental illness, and your life situation may trigger it. Exposures before birth. Exposure to environmental stressors, inflammatory conditions, toxins, alcohol, or drugs while in the womb can sometimes be linked to mental illness. Okay, and then the brain chemistry. Neurotransmitters are naturally occurring brain chemicals that carry signals to other parts of your brain and body. When the neural networks involving these chemicals are impaired, the functions of nerve receptors and nerve systems change, leading to depression and other emotional disorders. So, in a nutshell, they have a whole lot here. Please, if you can identify with anything that has been read so far, right? Please take out time to do the needful as soon as possible. So, coming back to my panelists, Mr. Itimide. Now, knowing this setting, speaking for or to the people of Nigeria, in Nigeria, how best will they get their help? Where should they go to if anyone has identified with one or two or more of the things that has been mentioned here? What is supposed to be the next step, knowing the healthcare system we run in Nigeria? Please give your submission.
Yes, well, I'm sure there are so many, especially in Lagos, mental health professionals. Those are the kind now you can probably go to Google to find more, uh, because I'm sure they're there. I'm sure if you just type there, you'll find quite a number of them. And it's also important to go to um, hospitals that are kind of dedicated in doing that. It's also you can go to any other hospital that have that that the doctor can handle that, but I feel like sometimes they will not give you the full. They will not properly settle down. Sometimes, in most cases, they will not properly settle down to understand you and to hear you because probably he's thinking of the next patient in the ward that he wants to go and probably give injection or something. But unless if it's a hospital that have their own psychiatrist or psychologist, because there are some hospitals like that. So just identify some of the things going on in your life. But from what you read, there are some parts also that, if you look at it, somebody might ask himself, like, so what is the if all these things is part of mental health, that means everybody have one thing going on now, because everybody can tell you that at some point they don't feel, very, comfortable, or all those situations. But I think where we now have to balance it is that you have to look at the ones that affect your day-to-day um, living for you to be able to live a productive and a happy life on a day-to-day basis. When you notice that that is being uh, affected, then you should definitely go and seek for go and seek for medical or psychological evaluation and treatment. Because, for example, this issue of people, I don't know, I feel like some people might feel like they don't understand some of the things we are saying unless we start using scenarios or examples that affect them. For example, in if you tell somebody that this thing you're having, this domestic issue you're having, every time you people are quarreling, everybody's hearing your voice, people are shouting in the compound, all that, that it is tied to mental health, then they might not ask, okay, why, how, you know? And for the sake of our brother, I was talking about hereditary and all that. It is true, but you need to understand that mostly, what people, what is more at risk of being transferred, maybe from the parent or grandfather or grandmother or somebody, family genetics, is schizophrenia. Because some schizophrenia is what people are afraid of. When you hear people saying things like madness is in the family, is schizophrenia they're talking about, where people can, this thing of hallucinating, hearing voices, talking to, talking to yourself is not a mental illness, but when you now start doing, when the person start doing it, even on the road everywhere, you know, and when it affects how the person functions, you know, then that's the one that people can. But all these other things of maybe anxiety, panic attack, or OCDs, ADHD, those are things that can happen to anybody, even if there is no symptom of, even if there's no sign of that in maybe your relative, because those are things that environment can kind of trigger. So it's also very important to look at, aside from looking for the symptoms, because sometimes in most cases, once it gets to the point whereby you already, when that person is already having those issues, it becomes much harder to deal with them, you know. So sometimes you have to look for, you know, the triggers, the environment, you know, the events. Try to avoid some certain events, and also learn how to address you know, issues. Learn how to respond to issues. Learn how to avoid certain situations that can now trigger some things from, you know, happening. You know, there are some examples I would have used. Maybe it's not that safe or, you know, proper to use online, but at the same time, we need to understand that it's very important to learn the triggers, learn how to address issues, you know. All right.
Thank you. But for the common man, or for the average Nigerian who
Yeah.
might not be able to afford that, what it takes to, I mean, they have to go see a counselor, right? That
Yes,
would be
yes.
the okay. But for those that, I mean, I would think that even poor people get mental illness too, so they don't have money to pay for consultation and all of that fee. What do they do?
Well, I think there's always a free, you know, I feel like there's always some counselor somewhere. But the only thing is that just make sure that it's someone, sorry, just make sure that it's someone that is like, that is kind of educated, you know, that is a professional and that knows what they are doing, not just, not get advice mostly from maybe only you're looking at YouTubers. Unless if you know that YouTuber or social media person is, you know, is trained in that area, that person probably, that is a field or his field, you know, then you can. But if it's just like opinions, maybe you saw something Insta blog, or you saw somebody put one inspirational, you know, something online, then you want to go by what some of those people are saying. So that's not how to do it. I'm sure that even in all these NGOs, there's places that they have those kind of, just locate one NGO. If there is none, just go to a, you know, a school. Go to a school. Say you want to ask that you want to see maybe one professor or lecturer of something something. Those people, they can also help you understand, even if they are not practicing it in the field, but because of their teachers of it, they kind of understand it and they'll be able to guide you through it. Or even some churches. I believe there are some churches that also do that. Like, sorry, before I go, there's this country, I think is Costa Rica. There's a place there called Nicosia. And you see, it is recorded that those people have the highest old age, you know, longevity rate in the West. Because I think in the world probably is Japan, right? So in the Western world, Europe and Americas and Africa, Nicosia, Costa Rica. And they find out that apart from their diet and everything, another thing that has really helped them to live longer than most other people is a religion. And that's just some people will say why religion is not. No, religion is not bad, because it makes a lot of people channel their worries and their anxieties and their fear to a particular, that act of just putting everything, or whether it's praying or just putting it to something, someone, it also helps to relieve you of those burdens. And you know, those burdens and those worries, is one of the main reasons why a lot of people develop anxiety, panic, and all those other things that send them into deep depression. So religion also is scientifically proven to help with mental health.
All right, Mr. NCBD, thank you very much for your submission. Okay, Mr. Pansat, knowing how important, knowing how much of a big deal mental illness is, you think the Nigerian government has put things in place to deal with this?
Well, before I conclude with that question you asked, let me just say that yeah, we all three of us in the panel ended up converging at the same place because we're actually having two conversations here. One is mental illness that is diagnosed clinically. The person is crazy or have schizo. Beyond even your depression and all that. So that person, it's crazy, and it's the one with the stigma that we know. That's a totally different thing. It's a more serious thing, and that has to be handled by doctors, especially preventing the complications that could come with it. Okay, but as far as the symptoms, like we're talking about, your stress, for example, in the United States, I believe that the stats is 1 out of 5 have mental issues. That's 1 out of 5. So CBD also made a point of going to your minister. Yes, going to friends. But first of all, going to yourself. You have to take good care of yourself. If you notice that you haven't any of the symptoms that we elucidated here, get sufficient sleep, eat healthier, take time off, relax, check yourself. But more importantly, this is all these discussions we're having. It's not just a self thing. It's also for people to look out for their loved ones or friends or family members. If you notice any of the symptoms, you are in the best place to then intervene and talk to them, find out if they're having marital problems, legal problems, lack of money, the other things that we talked about. Like I said, it's very difficult in Nigeria to be in that country without mental health, not illness itself. It's very, very difficult. So I think we covered that very well. Now, the question you asked me, could you repeat that? Oh yeah, the Nigerian government. Well, I gotta tell you, we don't have a government for one thing. It's actually the government that is the cause of all, or a majority at least, of our mental health issues in that country. We haven't had a government in a very, very long time. Certainly not in your lifetime. We don't have a government. So if let's say one of those things is like you have to, like in the United States, you pick up the phone. Let's say I'm having a suicidal thought, or even worse, killing somebody. I could pick up the phone and dial 911, and I will have intervention. I'll get help. You don't have that in Nigeria. Maybe in Lagos, but we're not talking about Lagos or Abuja. We're talking up to our fellow citizens. No matter where you are in that country, you are entitled to equal protection and treatment. So even if you're poor, if you don't have money, there are a lot of programs that are designed for people who don't have money. In the United States, the people who bear the brunt of taking care of themselves is the middle class. The rich have money to buy whatever they want, have their own doctors, buy insurance, and then the poor, so that you meet it, you don't surpass a certain threshold in income, then the government will provide for you a lot of these things. If you have court issues, they will give you a lawyer for free, counsel. If you're sick, you have Medicaid, you'll be taken care of. That's the way society is supposed to be structured. Does Nigeria do any of those things? No. As a matter of fact, they impede rather than ameliorate. All right, thank you very much. And CBD, thank you for your points on the program. Miss Emma, that's a beautiful smile, a beautiful dress. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that, Mr. Parsat. Okay, so I wanted us to talk about the prevention. I'm going to read out quite a couple of things. I'm going to read out quite a couple of things. So please listen attentively, please. Okay, so here it goes. There is no sure way to prevent mental illness. However, if you have a mental illness, taking steps to control stress, to increase your resilience, and to boost low self-esteem may help keep your symptoms under control. Follow the steps. One, pay attention to warning signs. Work with your doctor or therapist to learn what might trigger your symptoms. Make a plan so that you know what to do if symptoms return. Contact your doctor or therapist if you notice any changes in symptoms or how you feel, consider involving family members or friends to watch for warning signs. And yes, even if that last part was not there, I was going to say it. One thing that is quite common amongst people who have mental health disorder or mental illness is they make it so much of a big deal that they keep it as a secret. They don't share, so people don't know that okay, this person is going through this. They always want to act strong, and please, you need to open up to someone in, I mean, one of the people you spend the most time with, the people in your inner circle. Somebody needs to know, one or two people need to know, and they need to, because they need to put you in check. They need to be sure that you're doing everything right. So please, that last part is very, very, very important. Involving family members or friends to watch for warning signs. And the second one is get routine medical care. Don't neglect checkups or skip visits to your primary care provider, especially if you aren't feeling well. You may have a new health problem that needs to be treated, or you may be experiencing side effects of medication. The third one is get help when you need it. Mental health conditions can be harder to treat if you wait until symptoms get bad. Long-term maintenance treatment also may help prevent a relapse of symptoms. So very well to say that the longer it tarries, the longer it tarries in you, the more complicated it could get. So yeah, so it grows according to this write-up and from submissions. It grows. So please do well to take this seriously. Do well to go for your checkup. Do well to assess yourself in all honesty. Assess yourself in all honesty. A lot of people, a lot of us, have had to go through life. Someone once said to me that it is not the event, it is the effect of the event that causes a trigger. That is what brings about mental illness. So please take out time to carry out due diligence, sit back and look at the things that you've had to go through, and and see what that has done to you, if you've truly healed from that, so it doesn't linger, it doesn't grow anymore in you. Let's be quick to do away with this. Please do this for yourself. And the fourth one, very important. When I saw this fourth slide, I had a very big smile, because it says take good care of yourself. Sufficient sleep, healthy eating, and irregular physical activity are important. Try to maintain a regular schedule. Talk to your primary care provider if you have trouble sleeping, or if you have questions about diet and physical activity. Thank you very much. That's all about that right up there. Mr. Nsibide, do you want to add anything to that?
Oh, this is the closing, eh?
No, this is not a closing. We still
Oh,
have
okay,
some.
okay.
Yeah.
I was really hoping it's not. Yeah. So, well, I think that's just about right, and it's just quite amazing that some of the things I'm saying, it's just based on education and the things we've learned over the years. and I might not be able to say exactly my what I'm doing right now, but that's definitely I studied that in school. Part of what I studied, part of it. So, but what I'm going to say is that uh, dopamine, the dopamine levels of everybody needs to be, you know, steadily on the high so that they don't fall into any of these things. Sometimes it works like it works like magic. Sometimes, to be honest, you know, people feel like mental illness is some kind of event and all that. Do you know that that's why do you think there are drugs for people that are really down on probably on depression or anything? So what those antidepressants does for people is that when they take it, it kind of suppresses their brain activity from having too much, um, intrusive thoughts. There are those intrusive thoughts, and they come in different ways, like worries, all manner of worries. That's why worries, too much of it is not good for anybody's mental health. The things that you cannot change, that is why also they say religion helps a lot. Scientists, many of them are artists, but they are the same ones confirming that religion helps in mental health. Because of that part of religion that always wants to take away the burden from you and put it on uh, an unseen being or from another being or from God or put it to God, you know. So that's really helps. So being able to stay away from worries and being able to do things that boost your dopamine, like what you said, physical activities, eating healthy, find the kind of foods, watch your body, not the kind of food that when you eat it, you are so weak, you just want to go and you're just so tired, you're not active. There are some foods that will bring down your mood. So those physical activities, eating healthy, also sleeping at the right time and having good amount of sleep. You don't need to sleep too much, but sleep at the right time, sleep healthy, you know, drink water, have conversations, don't forget these kind of friends that you cannot have open or deep conversations with. If you have those kind of people around that the only kind of conversation you can have with them is a conversation of trying to form something or trying to prove to them that you have something or trying to maintain a certain standard, then you don't have any friend. You don't have a true friend. Those people can even help you, can even make that person go into depression. So get the kind of friends that you guys can have real conversations, you guys can be open to each other, and those are the kind of friends that can really help you. That's why there's a lot of we have had a lot of sad news about someone. Uh, they might even be celebrities, and you find out that probably they are with their friends all through the weekend. Then in the same weekend or the next Monday or so, you hear that they did something to themselves, and the friends will be like, "We never saw it coming. We didn't know. We didn't know." Those are not friends. Those are just rave partners, or whatever they call themselves. So don't uh, uh, don't let those people be the people that you have as your only close people. So get people that you can have real conversations with, and it will really help. Thank you.
That was a good one, Mr. NCBD. That was a really good one. Thank you very much for sharing that. Thank you. All right. Please familiarize yourself with recently added option on our YouTube channel, the super thanks. The super thanks option is for those watching the replay of our broadcast. You have the opportunity to support us by clicking on the super thanks. It is very safe and very secure. Thank you very much for engaging this option. Thank you very much. And welcome to this broadcast. If you're just joining in, Please do well to like this broadcast, share, and invite someone. And if you have any questions to ask the panelists, please take out just drop your comments on the comments, drop your questions on the comment section. It will be attended to. Thank you very much. I'll move on to Mr. Pansat. Yes, Mr. Pansat. You would
Yeah,
like to say
thank you, and hello to Engineer Ken. A lot
something?
of the listeners are in for a treat. He's probably going to give us a nice oratory. But let me say that CBD scared me earlier because I thought he was about to recommend Indian hemp for dope. I believe he said you need to increase your dopamine. But he ended
Mindset.
up, but he ended up actually going to the route that when he said that going to church, you know, if you go to church, that's let me just give you a stanza of a song that you may hear when you get there. I'll give you just the first stanza and then the chorus. It says, "What a friend we have in Jesus, all our sins and griefs to bear. What a privilege it is to carry everything to God in prayer. Oh, what peace we often forfeit. Oh, what needless pain we bear. Oh, what peace we often forfeit. Oh, what needless we bear. Oh, what peace we often forfeit. Oh, what needless pain." So that's obviously much better with melody. The church or whatever religion you go to, I recommend the church, Christian churches, the minister, people, communion. You have friends, you have people who love, who care. They come to worship the Lord. And then the sermon. So it's very important to help in the situations we are in. The Lord can solve a lot of the problems that we have. Don't listen to people who are just talking. Myself, I'm not a saint. You don't have to be a saint to go and be in the company of people who love the Lord, who will love you, talk to you. You listen to the sermon, listen to songs, eat, make friends. So that is one thing I would recommend because our country is in a bad shape. And but let me conclude this topic with I have the solution to Nigeria's mental health problems, issues, concerns. You have the ability to go and get your PVC and vote in good people. I'm telling you because I'm here and I'm somebody who helps out, sending money back home, doing things like that. A lot of people that I know, they are not going to be happy if Nigerians don't go out there and change the course and do the right thing. Many people are not going to be sending money back home. When we are here, we're talking, get on programs. It's 6 in the morning. I've been here about 5 in the morning talking. It's not my normal thing. I'm doing this just to help our people get it right. If you don't go and get a PVC, that's number one. You have to go get that PVC. Number two, you have to go and vote for the right people you know that would change your situation because you're not going to get it any other way. People sending you money, it's like feeding you. You have to be able to learn how to fish. Go out there, vote right people into office is going to determine if you're going to eat, if you're going to get a doctor, if you're going to have hospitals, you're going to have power, if you're going to have all those things that we enjoy here. We have a lot of things here. I know that a lot of Nigerians know that, we have a lot of things here, a lot of money, homes, buildings, offices, workers that work for us. We have a lot of money here. We could buy anything we want. any car, any food, whatever, anytime. And we have decent security. There's a lot of criminals that run around here and there. Random, you could get whatever, but you pretty much are free to roam around, travel anywhere you want to go, to the Caribbean for a weekend, to church, to a mosque, whatever you want. You have the freedom here. Nobody, no Muslim in America is going to come talking nonsense to you. No Christian is going to go talking nonsense to a Muslim here. So we'll get along. Here, you don't have anybody feeling entitled because of his religion here. So we enjoy all that. We got health care clinics. We got police officers, maybe one for 100 people. You have the city police. If you're in college or high school, you have high school police, campus police. You have sheriffs. So in Nigeria, the federal government wants to be in charge of security because he doesn't want certain ethnic groups to have equal access to violence, guns. So they prevent you from having guns. So you have to go out there and vote. And that is going to be what the first thing you're going to do for your mental health, period. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Mr. Pansat. Well, you took us all the way. You took us all the way. Thank you for that. I don't know who else was singing the song as he was calling out the lyrics. I was. I know I'm not the only one, but thank you for that, Mr. Pansat. And Dr. Sherry Tomlin says spirituality, recreational activities, talking, distraction techniques. I would like to know your distraction techniques, Dr. Sherry. Please share. Listening to meditation music, instrumental music on Niger Watch, journaling and exercising is self-care. Oh, this is really rich. Thank you for sharing this. There's definitely something to take here. Thank you. Knowing your self-care regime wouldn't be a bad idea. And this is something that we need to start talking about. Taking care of yourself. That's the best thing that you can do for yourself. That's the best thing. I mean, to what end is everything when you are not okay, or when you are not fine, you are not fit, or you are not even here to enjoy everything? So please, let's be very intentional about taking care of ourselves. We'll be coming up more and more on mental illness awareness. We'll be coming on back to back. So stand as a reminder to each and every one of you, and even myself, talking about this. Please, let's do well. Let's do well to assess ourselves and do the needful afterwards. Engineer Ken, how are you doing? Welcome to the broadcast, sir.
Hello, good morning. I'm doing great. And you, Ima?
I'm fine, thank you, sir. Welcome.
Yeah, I just joined in. I saw that you're on your broadcast. I wanted to find out what was the topic of today.
Okay, we're talking about mental illness, right? And we've established one or two things. And now we're saying, if that is so what is the fate of Nigerians? Do we have, things in place for people that have this? How do they check themselves? What's the next step for them to do? Where do they go to? Then we read that mental illness, there are two factors. One is hereditary, and the second one is environmental. And looking at the space, the airspace in Nigeria,
Yeah.
okay.
Hello, can you hear me?
Loud and clear, sir.
Okay. Mental illness has different kind. Sometimes there are stress, health-wise, and they also have some spiritual attacks for mental illness. Hello?
Yes, I'm here, sir.
This time around, mostly in our country, in Nigeria, A lot of people are mentally disarranged. You know, they are mentally disarranged, mental disorder. Number one is poverty. You know, number two is the failures of government. You know, you go to work every day. Maybe you make 100,000 naira at the end of the month. That cannot even feed your family. When you take out your transportation money away from that money, everything is gone. You know, and sometimes a man like that has wife, has kids. He has to pay school fees. You know, at the end of the day, it's a big problem. You know, and sometimes too, that kind of a man is a graduate. You know, he's a graduate, and he can't even pay his own bills. So things like that gives people some kind of emotionally deranged that they'll start thinking of evil things to themselves or to people around them. You know, but uh, but in the country that we came from, we are lucky that we have family orientation. You know, sometimes you talk to somebody, your family members or your close friends, they will start talking to you, helping you to release your stress. You know, when I lost my mom, when I lost my mother, you know, when we were preparing for this, for our funeral, it was then I knew that my mom was paying school fees for over 25 kids. For over 25 kids. I know about my dad, but not my mom. I was weak. Then in my church in our church that we go to, you know, 90% of the widows and the poor ladies there, my mom give them clothes. Harvest clothes she buys for all of them. Christmas time she give them food. Any Easter's and whatever, you know. That was people come to the house. That was all they were cried of. And this woman never sick. She just went to be on the Lord. You see, things like that, you know, you encourage people, you support them. We have that kind of people back home that are just like that. They help you out. You know, the reason why some of the youths are now harming themselves, some of them are on drugs, high drugs, taking cocaine, crack cocaine, and all those stuff, heroin, those things mess them up. Sometimes being stressful will now help them to start smoking marijuana, you know, and taking all this hard drug, taking that these things is going to help their pains to relieve. That is why there are English says that the problem share is half solved. We have to go back to our olden days when a son can talk to a father, when a father can talk to a son, when brothers can talk to brothers, when friends can talk to friends. But this time that we are right now, if a friend talks to a friend and that friend is capable of helping, he or she will not help. They will turn it around to start using it to laugh at that person, to mock that person, to humiliate that person. That is why you see a lot of these our young celebrities killing themselves. They will now keep it to their own self. Sometimes they are so ashamed to say it, so that people will not look down on them. You know, it happens like that. Then here in the abroad that we live in the Western world, a lot of people are depressed. Number one, family back home overstress them. Sometimes they work 3 to 4 jobs. Half of the money that they got from that job, they send it home for family to do some things for them. Build me a house, buy me a land. Why are they doing this? They know that one day they're going to retire from here. So they want to be able to go back home and live a quality life. They know that one day they cannot be able to do 3-4 jobs anymore. They have to go back home and live a better life. But guess what? By the time that person will now travel home, he will find out that everything that he has spent his money for, that they just ate it. Brother didn't act as a brother. Father didn't act as a father. Mothers didn't act as a mother. They blow the whole money. And this man is now back to square one. That alone can make a man or a woman to go into depression. Serious depression. There was one day like that about 10, 12 years ago. I was right in America, in New York City, in Brooklyn. I was driving down to the gas station in the evening at night, around about 10 o'clock at night. So I went to see one of my homeboys. I was going home, so he let me buy gas. I saw this Nigerian woman. She's an Asian woman coming. I was just pumping my gas. I heard everything that she was saying, lamenting. When you see this lady, she's as dry as a bonga fish. The last time I saw her 10 years ago, she's so fresh and robust. She didn't even know that she's talking so loud. She was so stressful and everything. I was forced to stop my gas and I excused her. I started talking to her. She burst into tears. And that woman, like right there, she was half gone. Half of her is gone already. So many things. And over here in the US or in Europe, in Asia, you don't really have nobody to talk to. And we are not used to taking psychological classes. We are not used to going to any classes to help your mental state of mind. We are not used to that. We're used to families, that you discuss that with your family. But over here it's a different ball game. So those things, this topic right now that you're just talking about, that you brought, is a very wild topic. Very wild. That is affecting each and every one of us. Mostly the ones that live in the diaspora. When you see 100 foreigners, mostly an African, 95% is passing this through a problem. 95. You see them here smiling, taking pictures. Deep down in their mind, they are gone. They are gone. For you doing 2-3 jobs is not with clear eyes. It's not with clear eyes. Sometimes you are in school, you have to do 2 jobs to take care of your needs. You have to pay your bills. At the end, when you pass out from that school with a better grade, you get a job, you start fighting problems at work. Racism. God forbid you have a boss who's a racist, or you have colleagues that is a racist. It's a very big problem. It happens to me. Very big problem. Whatever you do, they don't like it. Because you are a black man, because you are intelligent, because you are smart, because you are so articulate. Before anything at all, you give the answer. When you're in a board meeting, your speech or your answer supersedes everybody's thinking. They don't like it. It's a big problem. You start having dramas at work. And by the time you leave work, when you get home, God forbid you have a nagging wife. An African woman, maybe from your own tribe, that's a nagging woman. For her to support you, no. All what she does is how to mess up your money, or she works, she makes her own money, She sent it to our people back home, and she left you with nothing. You know, whatever you do, she doesn't like it. She start nagging you. Things like that can kill people. About 21 years ago, in Queens, New York, in Far Rockaway, you know, those of us that live in New York or in America, we know Far Rockaway. If you know the ocean of Far Rockaway, and a dumb man walk into that ocean and kill himself and jump into that sea. And if you go deep down, you know, it might be problem from the house, emotional problems, marital problems, nagging wives, job problems. Then you work hard and save all this money. At the end, the family will mess it up. I know a man that just died about 2 years ago, that the elder brother ate all his money. The man has been here for like 35 years. He retired. He went home to Nigeria. The brother could not show him a house. He could not show him a land. Could not show him nothing. You know, and this guy was a lecturer, you know, Georgia criminal justice, you know, in New York. 2 years ago, this guy had an heart attack. You know, he went into coma. Now, less than 2 weeks, he was gone. He was gone. You know, and this is a man that I really, really love so much. Even when he lost his job because of the trauma, he couldn't function anymore at work. He was fired. I paid his rent for over 2 years. I paid his rent for over 2 years. You know, because when I came to this country, I happened to live with him for 2.5 years. Even when I was in college, when I was in school, I did not pay rent one day. This man showered me with love. You know, I was able to talk to him mentally anytime, any day. Till the day I got a phone call that he had an heart attack. He had stroke. And that was how I lost him. Every day I miss him because he was like a father to me. After 40 years in the United States, become an American citizen, fly the United States passport, and at the end, he just died. These are the ones that I know. There are plenty of those across the globe, all over America.
Okay.
All over Europe, once a week. You hear me? Hello?
Yes, please go on, sir.
Okay. So this is a thing that we need to be talking about at least once a week. You know, because we believe that many souls will be saved. Many people will hear us and they will be saved. In the Bronx, there was a guy, a young Benin dude, a nurse, doing 2 jobs. One day, this was like about 15 years ago, one day his friends did not hear from him for about a week or two. So and his colleagues at work did not hear from him. And his roster was supposed to be working, but he's not at work. So friends have to go to his house. By the time they now force the door open, they were hearing smell. They have to call the police. They break in. They surprise that this guy has been dead long time. Stress. in my company that I own for over 23 years, by the grace of God, I used to have a staff. His name is Shehu. I'm still looking for his family. I still have one of his paycheck with me for over 6 years now. This guy, this young dude, he was about 36 years old at that time. This guy came to America with his fiancée back home. They came together and they were living, and he was working. He works for me for over 3 years. He was getting paid by me every 2 weeks. But his girlfriend, who happens to be his fiancée, started eyeing other big dudes that drive expensive cars that have been here way back. You that came yesterday, you can't be eyeing me that I've paid my dues for over 20, 27, 28 years in the United States. I might be having a private plane, a private jet. I didn't start yesterday. I didn't start last night. I paid my dues to get me to this level that I am now. This girl, she started eyeing all these guys and started cheating on this guy. By the time this guy find out there was a problem in the house, she called the police. He was locked up. He called me from the police station. I came there. I bailed him out. They started fighting, having kids. I would say, Shehu, forget about this girl. Boss, no. Boss, I worked in Nigeria. I suffered to bring her with me, blah, blah, blah. I said, listen, Shehu. I said, listen, there are so many fish in the water. You can catch as many that you want. But this one is not yours anymore. You got to let it go. This boy is a guy that is so passionate. Within him, he starts lamenting. I had to take him from there. I placed him in one of my hotels so that he can be having interaction with people, so that can also help him. One blessed day like that, I was called early in the morning by his roommate that Shehu died. He had a heart attack. He slept, he didn't wake up. So many. And his paycheck for 1 week is still with me for about 6, 7 years now. He's still with me. So anyone that I see, I always talk, speak out. Maybe one day, his family member will hear, and they will call me and send me his pictures, and they identify themselves. Then before I can release out that paycheck, So many. So it's a very, very, very big issue. Very, very big issue, Ima. If I start talking, we won't leave here today. You might even start crying. And this emotional stress, 90% of our men are passing through it here in abroad. 90%. Mostly the married ones. Their wives are driving them nuts.
So, but
Their wives are driving, yes.
I've wanted to intercept, but I decided to just allow you. But now that you brought this up, so you would say that people people get this more from home than from society.
Yes, it's from home, not from society. Society stress will not kill you. It will only make you strong. Society stress, what I was telling you before about rich citizen, that rich citizen issue helped me to develop my own company, and that'll make me the CEO that I am today for over 24 years in the United States. That emotion, that's racist and everything helped me to be strong. It gave me more momentum. It makes me to think faster. That what will I do to be a chairman of my own? What will I do for these white folks to work for me? What will I do? You know, what will I do? How can I reason? You know, it makes you to go back to your drawing board and plan well for yourself and your entire family. But the greater problem, yeah.
No,
Hello.
okay, you could round that up before I ask the next question.
Okay. So the greater problem that really makes people to become a suicidal. You know, 90% of it is from home, either from your native land or from the home that you create here in the U.S. You know, the other day I watched a video of one Igbo guy in Texas that shot his wife. I wanted to place it on Nigeria Watch, but because of YouTube issue, you know, I decided not to do it. This guy shot his wife that he brought from the east. He said this girl was selling banana when he went visiting east, and he saw her. He fell in love with her. He married her. She was nobody. He brought her to the U.S. here, and he sent her to school, teach her a lot of stuff, and now she's not a nurse. You know, every money that she makes, she just send it back home. She doesn't support him. Him has to have, now they have two kids. He has to have the house that they were living. She said she want big house. Then the man has to go ahead and buy a big house, hoping that she's going to support. You know, she didn't support. So he works, free time for him to rest. He has to drive taxi to support the family. You know, and guess what? The guy couldn't take it anymore. They're living together. This woman's having an affair with other guys, telling him that he's not a man enough. How can you tell a man, and you're supposed to be his wife, that he's not a man enough? You know what? You know what that does to men? You better pick up a gun to shoot the man in his face and kill him. Then you open your God mouth and your God mouth and tell him that he's not a man enough. You know, some men can react instantly, while some men will just be quiet. They'll go to their closet. When I mean closet, to their quiet section, they'll start thinking deeply. While some of you react instantly, beat you, fight you, and let it go. While some of them will start taking it personal, start thinking it, that thing will start depreciating them. It will start growing in them that at the end, they cannot conceive it anymore, then they will not explode. That was what happened to that guy. He now end up pick up a gun, shot his wife, call 911. When 911 came, if you point a gun to the police, trust American police. You're a black man, point a gun to them. Before you even take your hand to the trigger, they empty a whole revolver on him. And that was how this guy died. So
All right.
in every month you hear nonsense like this from our people every month. So it's a very big topic and it's a wide one. Thank you for my time.
Thank you very much. This is very much in line with our topic on Wednesday. So this is to say that before it gets to that extreme case, it means there's been build up, there's been enduring. You know, there's been lots of enduring until you get pushed to the wall. I mean, when you get to the wall, there is nothing else to do than to just let it all loose. So please join us on Wednesday as we would be sharing details of, other people of what can be traced, to the topic that we are on about today. So please join us. And I tell you this, there is a whole lot to take from this broadcast. So please follow up on Wednesday for the continuation. Thank you to everyone that has been part of this broadcast. Bella, Naomi, thank you for your donation. Thank you so very much. David Idenher, thank you very much for being part of this conversation. Mommy Diaspora, thank you, dearest Mama. Mr. Pastor, thank you for your time on here. All right, Mr. Ntibide, we've come to the close of this broadcast. Please give your 1 minute submission.
Only 1 minute. Okay, no problem. But yeah, it's very important stories. I really appreciate the fact that Engineer Ken came on the platform, because sometimes we need stories for people to see how relatable and how it affects them. So that was a very good one, Mr. Ken. Then also, I think I will just close by saying that this thing about mental health, very important, and please let us not generalize everything as schizophrenia, the one we call madness. My brother was saying Madu Ibara. But you see, the thing is, most of the cases we've had, all these situations we hear people had health issues and they are no more, maybe by kind of harming themselves or whatever. Yeah, none of them had schizophrenia. So I don't know. We need to understand that it's very important, or most of them didn't have schizophrenia. We need to understand that it's very important to address all these issues that lead to severe depression. We need to really address, and please, very importantly, people need to learn how to not rely on other people for um, to give them that for is it how do they say it, for that validation, and that makes them feel like, okay, that without this now, I have nothing anymore. For in a marriage situation, in a, there are some situations that definitely it has to be, it's supposed to be there. If not, that person is just suffering in marriage or whatever. I can't go deep into marriage topics. But in other issues, just general life, and you're there looking for someone to really just be all for you. Somebody said some time ago that the person that you're looking at or counting on, what if that person himself, is he not a human being like you? Do you know if that person also is seriously looking for someone to hold on to and make them feel some type of way? Because I feel like that is where some of these things starts building, because now the day that that person did not get that kind of appreciation or validation or whatever from those people, then they start falling into depression gradually. Then before you know, they are fully into it. You understand? So, and it's just so sad, and a lot of these things has led to a lot of families being destroyed. Look at all these stories we're hearing every day. People going on. But sometimes even sometimes some bloggers, they are not helping issues. You find people like this case of this thing that has just happened with these celebrities. You know, some of these bloggers, many of them, they just want to sell news. They just want to jump on the top popular opinion and popular topic. Sometimes it's good to just educate people, like what you're doing here, Mrs. Zima. What you're doing here is very important. You understand? You're not. I don't know if you're a health a mental health professional, but you're doing something that even most mental health professionals that are online do not do. And you're really doing it, and you're doing it really well. You're not giving people, you're not diagnosing people, but you're letting them know, you're giving them the information that they need to now go and seek help, which is very important, and God will reward you for that. So please let everybody um, try their best to kind of take life easy, avoid too much worries. What you cannot solve, there is no point to worry. If you're a Christian, as you claim, or Muslim, pray to God. Pray to God, have faith. Then whatever you cannot handle, leave it to God. You know, then do what you can, but avoid worries. Worries is where all the problem starts from. Worries is where they start from. Thank you so much.
Thank you so very much, Mr. NCBD. Thank you for the compliments. Thank you, and thank you for doing this with me. Thank you so very much. Mr. Pansat, please give your final submission.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I enjoyed the anecdotes, obviously, with some sadness from Engineer Ken. But I'll be remiss if I don't add that obviously the cause of all these things could be from both sex, obviously, men and women. It's a lot of stories about what when we go home and we'll marry and we'll bring them to United States or wherever you live, and then it doesn't work out. It's a lot of problems. Even if you married here, it's the same thing. It's very difficult, but the man should not do anything like that, violence because of insult or whatever. Obviously, is what we're talking about here. Now, we're not doctors. I definitely am not one. So we're just talking about the classes of mental illness in the way. I mean, mental health is actually what I was talking about, not the illnesses themselves. Like in CBD, it's more knowledgeable about this. Is going into the neurodevelopment problems, the ones that start when you're from your childhood or you inherited it, or your schizophrenia, bipolar related ones, depressions, anxiety ones, things like that. But we've touched upon, the symptoms that is commonplace for a lot of people, especially in the environment that we find ourselves in Nigeria. And of course, Engineer Keb brought in the familiar ones, family, and things like that. So it's good that friends and family actually should be, it's what I think, should be listening towards, because most people, if they're already having symptoms, they probably won't be able to reason properly. So if there's somebody in your family that would require counseling, at least support, and of course guided them to the right place where they could get antidepressants or anti-anxiety medications, mood stabilizers, or even psychotic ones. So that would involve clinical work. And finally, let me just say, one of the questions you asked me, Emma, in the last segment was the government. Now, you're in a country where, given everything we're going through, they have appellate court make a ruling releasing Nnamdi Kanu from detention, and they don't want to obey the courts. Those kind of things, for a section of the country, is enough to trigger all kinds of things. So that's the kind of government we have, a government that doesn't even respect court order. Do you know what it is? For example, in this country where I am, if they have a society where the government doesn't respect court order, it's going to send a lot of people into frenzy. Everybody's going to go crazy, pretty much. Nobody wants to be in a country where the Constitution is not being obeyed. Even as shambolic as our Constitution is, it's enough to drive some people crazy as well. We don't have a proper Constitution from the people. And then we have a government that's disobeying court order. That's enough to drive people crazy, because you basically an animal. If you get yourself involved in a society where the government doesn't obey court order, so what are we being ruled by a bunch of terrorists? Subhuman. They ruin the economy. They build no infrastructures. They don't help students stay in school, do the right things. All right. So now you're going to have a section of the country feeling alienated because you're not adhering to the federal character doctrine of the Constitution. You're inviting national security to discuss an issue about obeying what the court said. You're going to invite the chief of police, the chief of army staff, all of them Muslims and Northerners. And you're saying you're going to consider if you're going to obey the court order or not. That's maddening. That's maddening. So, but I know that's not a topic, but it's all related. It's all related. So I'll end it there. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pansat. Engineer Ken, please your submission in 2 minutes.
2 minutes? Okay, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity again. You know, I just want to advise people, either you're a man or a woman, life is so precious. You only have it one time to live. No matter what you are passing through today, remember, a lot of people went through it already and they survived it. Always have that in mind, that you are better than someone else. You know, is it marital wise? Is it family wise? Is it job wise? You know, you went to school, you read so well, and your mates are making more money at work than you, and you don't have that privilege. Don't give up in life. Life never gives up in you. You know, during time of our fathers or our forefathers look at our forefathers, oh, this house you have is so beautiful, is this house. Then the next day now, your children will look at your house and say, oh, Daddy, that house is an old school, new buildings out already, new designs out already. It's always like that. Life is a continual process. You know, it continue. You know, it takes a strong person to succeed it. You know, and you have to be mentally stable for you to succeed in life. You know, don't let anything at all, being passion or whatever, don't allow it to derange you. You know, don't allow it to derange you at all. Contain yourself. It happens to you, dust it out and move on. And don't ever you wish to be like someone else. You know, that's what the Bible says. Imitation is a sin. Don't ever you wish to be like someone else, because you don't know what that person went through, and you don't know what that person is passing through, and you don't know that person. You know, always wish that God make me who you want me to be. There is always a betterment for tomorrow. You know, like I, for one, if I'm passing through difficulties right now, I know that at the end of that difficulties, there's a great joy. And truly, at the end, there's always a great joy for me. So I want you to put that into work. You know, the reason why Africa and Africans as a continent and as a people, that we are not developing, we count so much on our problems, we count so much on our stress, we count so much on everything. But we create those problems and we don't create solution. But you see Chinese of today and the whites of today, when they see problems, they see solution, they make money. We're running out from Africa down to Europe and Africa. The Chinese are running down to Africa. You know, whites are running down to Africa because we're running out of problems. They're coming in with solution and they're taking in the wealth from us. You see the magic? So it's just like that. It's just like that. That is life. That is just life. Before I end up this thing, I just want to say something. About 3 months ago, I had the opportunity to speak to one of my old friends that we not spoke for over 30 years ago. You know, we started asking of our families and everybody, you know, and he's married, long time, the kids are in college. You know, we're all doing great. And he told me that he says, well, okay, man, I need money, man. There's a business I want to do, blah, 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 blah. I said, okay, what do you want to do with money? After saying that business, okay, you lost your dad already. Say yes. Your dad's house is right there in the busy express road. And the house is on 50 by 100 piece of land. And your father have other houses. So why can't you sell that? You can get up to 150 million from that land. He said, but they offer me 200 million. And I said, I'm not selling. I bury my father there. I said, you bury your father there. You can take, you are the first son, and just two boys and a couple of girls. I said, why can't you take your father, call your father's family, take your father corpse from there, and transfer him to your own house, or to another house that you own. So even your dad in heaven, he will laugh. You know that, yeah, my son is smart. You know, oh, Ken, I want to build up a mall there. You want to build up a mall. Yeah, you want to build up about 40, 50 stores there. And it will take you almost about 50 million to 100 million to build it. You know, how much you're going to make in that mall? You know, before you make it, maybe they pay like 10,000 or 20,000 naira every month. You know, throughout your lifetime before you die, you don't even make that money back. Then your son will now sell it and you utilize the money or blow the money. So why can't you take the 200 million or 2-point-something million or 200-something million, take that money, go do other big things. You know, go do other big things, become an importer, you know, open up a factory and start manufacturing things and let people come there and patronize you. Right now, you're sitting right now on wealth, but you don't know how to generate it to become money. You know, so now I don't know why God said I should look for your number and called you. For over 30-something years, we have not spoken. This is the first time that we are talking, and this is what came out from my mouth. And you have to just go out. It was like, yo, bro. Then about some days later, his younger brother called me, and he was thanking me, you know, for bringing out that opinion. That, you know, they were so happy. You see, things like that happens. You know, we have to stand up. Mostly the men, you know, stand up. If you are dating a woman and everything that woman knows is about sex, you don't have to marry that kind of a woman. You know, you are a man. Sometimes in life, your whatever will not drive anymore the way it used to be when you were young. You know, or you're working very hard, that thing alone can kill your manhood. You know, at the end, if you cannot satisfy that woman in bed, it's a big problem. So you have to look into all those things before you marry a woman. And you as a woman, if you're dating a guy and that guy's a womanizer, he cannot stay without a woman. You don't have to marry that man because you cannot change him. That is who he is. So if you are not that kind of a person that can take it, then don't go into it. Don't go into it at all. So don't start a fight that you cannot fight. You know, and don't start a war that will take your life later. I rest my case for now. Thank you so much, Iman.
Thank you so much, Engineer Ken, for being on this broadcast. I'm sure your presence was felt. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you to each and every one of you that has, you know, stayed with us all through this broadcast. And you watching the replay, hi, how you doing? Welcome to the chat. Today we are talking about mental illness, and this has been such a rich broadcast. Please do well to share. Do well to share this broadcast. Do well to invite people. Now we would be giving real time experiences, or what mental illness looks like drastic actions. Please join us on Wednesday. Do well to join us on Wednesday on the chat, 1 p.m. Nigerian time. And of course, the rest of our broadcast, we have the newspaper review Monday through to Saturday, 10 a.m. Nigerian time. We have the chat Mondays and Wednesdays, 1 p.m. And we have discussions Monday to Thursday, 5 p.m. Nigerian time. We have the debate every Friday by 6 p.m. Ladies and gentlemen, do well to join us. Do well to turn on your notification bells for every time Nigeria Watch goes live. You would be notified. Thank you very much for being on this broadcast. This is a goodbye from me. But of course, I would have to say thank you so very much to my amazing panelists. You guys have been amazing. Thank you. I'll see you tomorrow. Until then, enjoy the rest of your day. Bye for now.